Last night on Fox News, Donald Trump was speaking to Bill O'Reilly about just how, about how just like black people, Donald Trump has struggled.
There are still some black Americans who believe that the system is biased against them, the American system, because they're black, they don't get the same kind of shot, they don't get the same kind of fairness that whites do. What do you say to them?
Well, I've been saying even against me, the system is rigged. When I ran as for president, I mean, I could see what was going on with the system, and the system is rigged.
Yeah, but
and
that's not going to lift anybody's
go out
spirits.
And we have to fight.
If you say to black Americans the system's rigged, that's not going to lift their spirits.
No, what I'm saying is they're not necessarily wrong. I mean, there are certain people where, unfortunately, that comes into play, and I'm not saying that. I can relate it really very much to myself.
What? Wait a minute. Does he ever really go back and listen to the things he said? Like, ever? No, I can totally relate to black people. I have struggled so much throughout my life. Really. Donald Trump, son of a billionaire, right? Or at least who's a billionaire now, somehow knows the same struggle as a black kid growing up in Detroit. Why? Oh, maybe it's because he thinks the media wasn't nice to him. Okay. It's a ridiculous reason. So let me break down the barriers, right, that people have faced, and then I want to compare it to Donald Trump. All right. Now, there's a lot of research that indicates that the playing field has not been even for black and white Americans. There's also a lot of evidence that indicates that Donald Trump is actually privileged, is actually more privileged than most white people, too. So here's Donald Trump saying, no, what are you talking about? I struggled. Really? You struggle? Rich guy? Growing up the son of a millionaire? Okay. So here's some of the facts. Black children are most likely to live in poverty. Starting in elementary school, they're disproportionately likely to be suspended and less likely to have experienced teachers in their schools. When applying for jobs, people with black-sounding names at the top of their resumes they're less likely than white people or with white names to get a callback. When hired, black Americans are likely to be paid less than white Americans, and if black Americans, of course, want to talk about this, they're less likely to be able to get a therapist's appointment. That's interesting. Now, some of these barriers are due to subconscious racial bias, which we all have. We all have this bias when we, even though we don't necessarily know, we all have it, right? It's not always open discrimination. Sometimes it's, as I said, inherent. It's just something that's inside that you have to really kind of point out, that you have to find and really kind of work on. Now, Donald Trump hasn't faced any of these, disadvantages from the start, or doesn't face any of these disadvantages. However, to be fair, the Washington Post was once mean to him. Now, other factors are due in the fact that black Americans are more likely to be born into lower economic circumstances, something that Donald Trump definitely has not faced. In his 2004 book, sociologist Thomas Shapiro argued that America's race opportunity gap persists because of the lingering effects of the barriers and discrimination faced by past generations. Due to the lack of opportunities given to their parents or grandparents, black Americans don't have the necessary financial safety net to take advantage of opportunities or weather tough times. A 2015 ProPublica investigation came to a similar conclusion. Black Americans are more likely to fall into dangerous levels of debt because they are less likely to have savings to draw on or friends or family with available cash to lend them a hand. And to be fair, I also don't have any of that stuff. But anyway, now let's contrast that with Donald Trump. In 2005, Trump himself said on his radio show, yes, he had a radio show called Trumped. Wow, clever. Anyway, Trump said, I have to admit, I was born into very fortunate circumstances. Well, to that I say, no shit. Of course he was. He was born the son of a very wealthy real estate developer. Trump's always been given opportunities and second chances. He attended private school. And look, when he attended private school, there are records out there that show that he wasn't a very good student. In fact, he was such a bad student, he got sent to military school. Which is funny, because he thinks that that counts as military service. Oh boy. And look, when he wanted to build a real estate empire, he started with what he called a very small loan of about $1 million, which is only part of what he received. Now, his father, Fred Trump, had a lot of connections. He already had wealth. And look, that helped him get a good bank loan. And look, that allowed him to be very, very successful. Trump's good at one thing, selling his name, putting his name on things. That's what Donald Trump does. Okay? Not only that, but he had an inheritance to draw from when he went, he also went bankrupt several times, and he used the laws, bankruptcy laws, in his favor. So yeah, look, all that, he's totally in tune with the blacks. I mean, we all know black inner city kids get giant inheritances and can declare bankruptcy 4 different times and come out still filthy rich. Oh, wait. That doesn't happen. You've got to be kidding me. This is one of the worst attempts to reach out to the black community. It's got to be the worst. This is like Hillary Clinton saying, I know what it's like to be broke because when we left the White House, we were broke. We didn't have any money. That really doesn't, it's not really a good thing either. Look, to all these politicians, I just got to say, just stop. You're not like everyone else. You have no idea what black people, poor people, Latino, or just average everyday Americans go through. And it's frankly insulting to portray yourself, whether you're Hillary Clinton, whether you're Donald Trump, as knowing a damn thing about what any of these people are actually going through.